I'm not even concerned about Killian Hayes no more, man. I let go of I've let go of that, and I'm not going to have any expectations for him going into the rest of these ball games for the remaining games that he's a Detroit Piston. I don't think he's going to be a Piston for that much longer because he's just not putting out the production that we need him to. And the frustrating thing with Killian Hayes is that he'll have a game where he comes out and he puts up 16 points, he'll have 5 rebounds, he'll have 9-10 assists, and then he have like 3 steals, just having a great impact on the game. And then the very next game he'll come out, he'll have 2 points, he'll have 1 rebound, he'll have 2 assists. And then you look at his numbers, he shot 1 of 12 from the floor, so you just can't have that. So I defended him for a very long time, and I just can't anymore. So all my expectations for him, they are gone. And then another player. Now, as you guys can see from that previous clip, I owe Killian Hayes a huge apology over his last 6 or 7 games. He's been playing some very decent basketball, and for me personally, this is all I've been looking for from Killian Hayes. And in the previous game against the Dallas Mavericks, when you factor in impact, efficiency, and clutchness, Killian Hayes easily had the best game of his NBA career. He put up 22 points to go along with 8 assists. He went 10 of 13 from the field, 2 of 4 from the three-point line, and he only had 2 turnovers on the game. And what made this so impressive, this game so impressive for me from Killian Hayes, is that he was the driving force down the stretch for the Detroit Pistons. When Bogdanovich was getting trapped every time he touched the ball, Killian Hayes had the confidence to step up and deliver the win for the Detroit Pistons. And also another thing, the Pistons were going up one of the most clutchest players in the NBA, Luka Doncic. And not only is he one of the most clutchest players in the NBA, but he's probably the most valuable offensive weapon in the NBA today. So I thought that with the circumstances that Killian Hayes was going up against, and he was able to be the main driving factor for the Detroit Pistons getting this win, I think that was pretty impressive. Now, what really impressed me the most about this game from Killian Hayes was his mindset, and what I love was that he didn't allow the defense to force him to do anything that he didn't want to do, and he also didn't force himself to do anything that he didn't want to do. And I think that's really important for a player like Killian Hayes, because to me, the talent has always been there for him. It's always been his mindset and his confidence. And in this game, I just saw him take exactly what the defense gave him. If he was driving the basketball and the team collapsed on him, he made the right pass out to an open 3-point shooter. And then if they were taking the pass away, he was not afraid to take that mid-range pull-up. Now that mid-range pull-up was looking like cash money last night. And if that's something that can be consistent throughout his career, Killian Hayes could be a very solid point guard in this league, because it makes him very hard to stop in those pick and roll situations, because he is a fantastic playmaker. So once you're in that pick and roll situation, you try to take that pass away from him, he can just rise up for that mid-range. So I like what I saw in that mid-range game. He was also getting to his floater against the Dallas Mavericks, and then just down the stretch, he was amazing. You couldn't ask nothing more from him. He rose to the occasion, knocked down 2 big 3-pointers in overtime in the fourth quarter, scored a lot of buckets down the stretch. So just an all-around great game for Killian Hayes. And he hasn't just balled against the Dallas Mavericks. Prior to this night, over the last 4 games, Killian Hayes was putting up 16.5 points, 8 assists to go along with 4 rebounds, 2 steals, and only 2 turnovers. Those are some pretty impressive numbers for Killian Hayes. And I think the biggest reason that we are so hard on Killian Hayes is for the simple fact that he has so much potential. He wasn't a lottery pick for no reason. He was the 7th overall pick in the 2020 NBA draft. And when he played overseas in that Germany league, he was so damn good. He did a lot of scoring and isolation. He had the ability to get to the rim. He had the mid-range pull up to his bag, and he also had the step back 3 in his bag. And over in that Germany league, he shot 42% from the 3-point line, which is pretty impressive. And he was so good and so dominant over there that he earned himself a pretty cool nickname. They were calling him the German League James Harden. You know, he's left-handed, doing a lot of scoring and isolation, great handle on the basketball. So that comparison made sense at the time. And then another thing that made Killian Hayes such a high draft prospect a high draft prospect is that he just has the intangibles. He has the things that you can't teach. He has a tremendous basketball IQ, just knows how to make plays, knows how to make the right pass. He knows exactly where guys are going to be, and you just can't teach stuff like that. And also, he has tremendous size for the point guard position. One of my favorite things about Killian Hayes, he stands at 6'5" with a 6'7" wingspan, and he weighs 210 pounds. So defensively, and we've seen this already throughout Killian Hayes' career, I feel like the two things that he's always been consistent at is being a great playmaker. He's always been able to find his open teammates and create plays, and he's also been a very solid defender, and I don't think he gets enough credit for what he does on the defensive side of the ball. He has the ability to guard 1 through 3. He can pick up full court, and he also gets a lot of steals. So Killian Hayes has always been solid in those areas. So the only thing that's really been inconsistent with Killian Hayes so far in his young NBA career is his ability to score the basketball, and it's not like since he's come into the NBA that he's lost his powers or he's just not good enough. I think with him is literally just his confidence and his mentality, because we'll see a game where Killian Hayes, he'd come out, he'd have 20 points and he'd take 10 plus shots on the game, and he's showing us the 3-ball, he's showing us the mid-range pull-up, and he's also showing us the ability to get to the rim. And then it's like the very next game, Killian Hayes, he'd take like 5 shots and go 1 for 5 from the field, and he'd finish the game with 3 points. And then so that's what's so frustrating with Killian Hayes. But on this recent stretch that he's been on, this is the most consistent and the most complete games he's strung together so far in his NBA career. What I love about it is that he's finding ways to score the basketball, but he's still impacting the game in other ways. He's still playing hard on the defensive side of the ball. He's still forcing turnovers. He's getting steals. He's rebounding the basketball. And of course, we know he's always going to be able to set up his teammates. So I love what I'm seeing from Killian Hayes on this little stretch. I think we also have to be very objective when it comes to Killian Hayes. We look at his rookie season, he couldn't get into a real rhythm and flow due to injuries. He didn't really play too many games that season. And also the next year we add a very high profile player, Cade Cunningham, the #1 overall pick. And then Killian Hayes, he wasn't the full-time point guard anymore, and that's what he was used to when he played in the German league overseas. And then also this season we add another point guard to this team, Jaden Ivey. So we don't know if that type of stuff affects his game, because we got to remember when he played overseas, he was a high usage basketball player. He was used to having the ball in his hands a lot, and that's what we're seeing this season. We know Cade Cunningham, he has went down with the shin injury. We don't know when he's going to come back, so he's been unavailable for the Detroit Pistons over these last few games. And since that's happened, Jaden Ivey has also missed a couple of games. So with those two guys being out, Killian Hayes has had the basketball in his hands a lot more, and some good things has been happening for the Detroit Pistons. The offense has a lot more ball movement. Guys are getting a lot more touches, and I like what I'm seeing from the Detroit Pistons right now. And one thing that they've been all season long that I can't knock, they've been competitive. They've playing hard on both sides of the ball, and they're doing what the whatever they can do. And I just wish that we could get these guys all healthy. I was telling we talked about this in a couple of a few Detroit Piston videos ago. We talked about how we were missing Marvin Bagley and Alec Burks, and these are two guys that could put some points on the board. And since these guys have returned from their injuries, they've been scoring the basketball, but now we're missing Cade Cunningham. So just like last season, we're going to have to wait to see how good this team really is when it's fully healthy. But that's going to be it for today's video. Had to give credit where credit is due to Killian Hayes. If you guys enjoyed, please leave a like, comment down below if you agree or disagree, and then subscribe for more weekly content. We do this all the time, man, and that's curtains.